Well, I'm excited to do a solid hour of quarterback controversy talk and nothing else. That's what I really want to do here in week 3 of the 2022 season.
Some things change, some things stay the same. I mean, geez, we're gonna have a strength and conditioning argument here soon enough. I think. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But
well, at least unlike David Joyner's private jet, we're allowed to have a beer while we do it.
Says you.
All right.
Grab your pencil and your paper. It's the obligatory PSU pregame show. And welcome back, everybody, to the obligatory PSU pregame show, coming to you, as we always do, from Champs Downtown. A little bit different location this week. We are down in the basement, the game room, the fun spot of Champs Downtown, enjoying, as we do every week, our new trail beers. The Whiteout is out now and available for all you Penn Staters, where you get your craft beverages. W.R. Hickey here in Happy Valley, and new for the fall, their crisp lager as well. I'm your fake host, Chris Buchanani. I am joined by my two usual running mates, beloved campus icon, Mike the Mailman.
Everybody, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Always good to be in the presence of a beloved campus icon. Yeah.
Legend, icon.
Former AuburnState.com managing editor, Kevin Horn.
And you can tell Mike's sweating because someone more famous than him may be actually here today for the first time.
Yeah, I like it. So you may have noticed Brandon Noble not here with us again this week. Brandon has been very fortunate, and we're very excited for him to get a lot of work with the NFL. He played in the league for about a decade, and as you may or may not believe, pays a little bit better than this show. So luckily we've got our professional scabs.
Hello, how are you?
Keith, Goon, Conlin. How you doing?
I'm a strike breaker over here. That's what I do. Jeez, I'm happy to be back, boys. I like to. We'll talk about our predictions and stuff last week.
We're always happy to have you here. And celebrating 10th anniversary of a very special season here in Happy Valley, helping fill the Brandon Noble void, former Penn State linebacker Michael Mauti.
Thank you guys for having me, man. Big shoes to fill with Brandon Noble.
Let me tell you.
Now that's an icon right there.
Damn right.
You got legendary, the Mailman. I'll give you legendary, but Mauti's iconic, man. I got to give Maut that.
Yeah, it's awesome having you join us, Mike. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Well, State's 2-0. Just want to look back a little bit before we look forward on the game against the Bobcats last week. And I think I am going to start with Goon.
Awesome.
What did you see from Penn State?
I liked it. Well, of course you know what I'm going to be happy about. A 17 game streak has been broken. By halftime, we had a 100-yard rusher.
We needed it.
It was absolutely amazing watching it.
Yeah, Chris, last week you said you just want a 100-yard rusher one game, and you got your wish.
The two things I wanted to see last week.
We haven't had a 100-yard rusher in 17 games.
It certainly felt like it. I didn't know the exact stats, but it felt good to have a running game, to have some explosive running.
Yeah, from Kevon Lee against Michigan in 2020 to Nick Singleton against Ohio last week. And I wanted to see that 100-yard rusher. I just wanted to get that monkey off our backs going into Auburn.
It's like bending over and you get it's like 42-20 at halftime.
I'll take it. And I wanted to see Drew Aller get in. And again, we're not going to spend the whole show on quarterback talk. Sure. I promise you. I don't like quarterbacks. You probably don't either. But
no, particularly.
I did want to see him get some meaningful snaps, and he surely did. So, Mike, you got to come back for the game. You were on the sidelines, and I have to imagine it meant a little extra something to you to see Penn State finally get a little revenge against Ohio.
They certainly got us back in 2012, so it was good.
Conditions were a little bit different back then.
It was a little bit going on outside of just the game, but no, they did get us that day. It was good to see yesterday. A lot of guys getting a lot of action, making plays, a lot of people back for the game. Look, we're 2-0 start. That's a good day.
I think 74 guys played yesterday.
19 players caught passes. That's, I think, a record.
It's amazing.
Really incredible.
I got to say this about James. We said this at Purdue, that we're getting meaningful downs. It wasn't just like the third and fourth team guys going in there late in the game. These guys were rotating early and often, getting our players out, getting these guys some significant playing time.
You know, we haven't put a licking on a team in forever, right? We've made it look hard against every team for the last two. I'm sorry. I don't have that brain warp in my. But we haven't beat a team that bad in a while, and it finally felt good. Ohio's not that bad, right? They beat Florida Atlantic as underdogs at home last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess now. So they're not that bad of a MAG school, and they were never in control, right? You knew they just were not going to score at some point midway through the second quarter. And like you said, although Coach Franklin post-game said he is still committed to the running back rotation, he may find himself like Scott Frost. If that is actually the case, Nick Singleton has to get most of those snaps because he looked excellent. Those videos are, dare I say, Mike, Saquon-esque, watching him turn the corner and turn it on. So not to
going there already.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves. But I mean, 179 yards, right? And 3 breakaway plays, so like 17 yards a carry. Incredible.
That's a day.
Incredible. He gets the corner, he's gone. And we haven't had that in forever. So I feel way better about yesterday than even that close win against Purdue.
I said he was one step from doing this, giving the deuce calls like Saquon does in the NFL. Because I was expecting him to do it the way he turned that corner and just hit it. We were out in the parking lot and we were just going absolutely crazy, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Breath of fresh air, man.
And I don't want
he has it in him, so.
I don't want to start the quarterback controversy because I think Sean should start against Auburn and play a lot, but it feels nice because Sean is prone to having the bad series in a row, right? He can get into the ruts, generally solid, reliable, but there are moments when you get in the ruts. We have an option if that happens. We have an option if that happens at Auburn and for the rest of the year. Because Aller, although he looked like a freshman quarterback, right, he's going to take some bad sacks, I think, in the beginning. The arm is just phenomenal. Like, he doesn't have to lean into the throw. It's there. It's there. It's an NFL arm, and it's relieving to know that there is a second deep quarterback that we can use this year, unlike last year.
Pocket awareness, Booch. I talked about it last week.
If you could change personnel the way they're doing, like, credit to the offensive staff, the way they're able to mix it up, and then as a defensive perspective, you got a game plan for almost 3 different teams when you got different quarterbacks in there. So if you can rely on those 3 game plans offensively to execute, defensively it's going to make teams very hard to prepare game plan wise for Penn State moving forward. So credit to the offensive staff.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. And Kev, you brought up the number of different receivers who caught passes.
I didn't know that number. That's a hell of a number.
They were taking snaps, again, like you said, in meaningful moments of the game. It wasn't just mop-up time. And a lot of different, body types, skill sets. So you look at those players, you see, now we got to familiarize ourselves with every one of these guys and what they can do. It's not just looking at, okay, if we figure out how to stop Parker Washington and Mitchell Tinsley and Keandre Lambert-Smith, those are the guys we're going to see through the whole game. Now you got to be paying attention to who's rotating in and out. And that's maybe a good way to transition to talk about defense, because I think everyone was so focused on the run game and the quarterbacks, they missed it quietly. Penn State's defense had a really nice outing, Mike.
They did. A couple of series where they were kind of on the ropes, maybe second and medium, where we got some 3 and outs and some guys are making plays. I think the secondary is as deep a secondary as I've seen maybe ever. And the ability for Manny to just say, hey, we're going to play cat coverage, man. Let's man up. And it gives him that kind of flexibility. It really takes the pressure off the inside front 7. So.
Do they do situational defenses? Because there were 4 or 5 guys going in at one time. A certain point.
Keep it fresh, man.
It seems like the personnel groupings, again, on defense, you're able to mix it up and do some matchups here. But it's schematically, it makes Manny's job probably really fun.
And the one area of concern is we didn't get home a lot, right? That's been the case for the first 2 years. Johnny Dixon had a sack, but other than that, I think that was the only sack. And that was the story of Purdue and last week. So hopefully we can get the pass rush put together here for the SEC game.
Something we didn't have to worry about when you were here, Mike, was linebacker depth. It's something we are working progress here at Penn State. And so this season, having that talent back there in the secondary, that makes you feel good in the front 7 because it takes a little pressure off those guys. So all in all, good outing. We got a lot more good stuff coming up. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the obligatory PSU pregame show from Champs Downtown. As we talked about last week, going forward in this block of the show, we're going to have some highlights from the Blue and White Players Show, which you can watch live on the social feeds of onwardstate.com and statecollege.com every Monday at 6 p.m. Then you can watch them afterwards. They're archived, or download the podcast from the Keystone Sports Network. Here's some highlights from our show. Enjoy. We are.
Yeah, genuinely. Awesome.
So Nick, just introduce yourself to the audience, where you're from, and tell us how you ended up at Penn State. Why did you choose to come here, and a little bit about your recruitment to get here to Penn State.
Absolutely. Nick Dawkins, as you know, from Allentown, Pennsylvania. A little bit outside of Philadelphia. My dad at the time worked for, he was an ambassador for the 76ers and for the Nets. So it was right in between. It was good. He could get, it was been like 45 minutes of each. So it was good. We were right there settled. He coached for a semi-pro basketball team, the Valley Dogs at the time, right in Bethlehem. Met my mom there.
Well.
Yeah, so we settled right there. And then I'm from the area. I was never a big, my dad liked watching the NFL, so we watched the Ravens only, watch Ed Reed and Ray Lewis play. So I didn't really get into college ball, but my grandparents loved Penn State. They loved the Nittany Lions. So that's the only college team I watched. So my first college football game, Penn State, it was almost like written in stone for me. I had told them that's where I'm going to play. They told me, if you go anywhere, it has to be blue, and it has to be Penn State blue. So I didn't have many options.
You want to
I'm just trying to figure out the middle linebacker in 43 wearing mustaches all the time. I have no idea. I mean, it's something. Is that part of your NIL contract? You got
No. So the thing is,
cornbread mustache to wear in 43.
Now the thing is, so in high school,
Oh, the Josh Hole, by the way.
the high school, I had a mustache as well. Now high school was more so peach fuzz, and I think it was sophomore year I started dyeing it just for man jet black. It was terrible.
Oh my God.
But I always thought I wanted to be this guy with a stash.
Like a little Burt Reynolds look.
Yeah. I also had these ugly. I had these chops. I get that a lot.
I mean, you look like you're ready to kick a door down.
Well, I get that a lot. It's kind of funny because I've dressed up as a cop in high school one day for whatever reason, but I had these chops as well. So I came in, I definitely looked like a dirt ball of some sort. But
You look like if you open up Lviv.
yeah, I shave. I try to clean up a little bit. I keep the stash now, but yeah, I've always had the stash. I don't have
legit hair game.
Yeah, I don't have to dye it anymore, thank God. But yeah, I figure I'll probably keep this stash through my career here and shit, probably the rest of my life. I don't know.
Yes, and I know.
Can you go into a little bit of detail about what recruitment actually looked like for you? I know Rutgers offered you. Tell the Rutgers story a little bit and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so I didn't really know too much about the recruiting process. I mean, it changes year after year after year. I thought I was in a movie, so I went to Rutgers my sophomore year of high school, and I'm like, you know, if you offer me, I'll just commit. Like, I didn't really know what either of that really meant. I didn't know.
Immediately.
I still thought, like, scholarship meant you send me in the mail, and I signed it, and I'm good to go, free school. So told them, like, okay, we'll offer you. I committed. No Twitter, no social media, no anything. I didn't really mean anything. So time went on.
Who was coaching? Was it Shiano there?
Ash, Coach Ash. So time goes on. I'm in my junior year. I make a Twitter finally. My high school coach is like, you got to make that. You're going to be a big time guy. Like, what are you doing? So I made it. Coaches start contacting me. I'm posting offers. Never posted my Rutgers offer. They're like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? So then I had to basically put an end to that. Went through the whole process. Started blowing up randomly at the end of my junior year. I was in like a study hall for high school. I got like 4 offers. It was like Kansas. It was Kansas. Well, I guess the Rutgers, Tennessee, and Indiana all in one day. And all my guys were sitting at the lunch table like, oh my God. They're like, we made it. I'm like, we made it. But I'm like, oh my gosh, it's getting real. So then Penn State hit me up, like come to a visit, came to visit with my mom, loved it, enjoyed the atmosphere. Coach Franklin, one of the, as real as it gets, told me what it was, didn't cherry pick anything, didn't try to sugar it up for me. That's what I appreciated that. Talked to me like a man. I thought I was a man at the time. I've obviously grown, but I thought I was older than I was. And I enjoyed it. Yeah, of course. But I've grown now and I understand, and I'm happy with my decision.
Obviously, the first game was Purdue. People couldn't make it, so they had block parties. Firehouses were holding watch parties.
Firehouses.
The Elks had a huge outdoor.
65 firehouses.
All of them.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy. We got firehouses, bars, and churches. That's what we got. But
This is true.
yeah, so they had a watch party outdoors. News watch, like the news stations were coming and like interviewing my parents. Like it was a big deal. Hundreds of people. You know, Tyler's picks on the menus, food, drinks, all that stuff. So they kind of had everything laid out.
You
so
get paid?
I did not. I usually don't like to do stuff like back home because they've given me so much. It kind of feels wrong almost to take from
I respect
them. But, yeah, the support was crazy. And I talked to Coach Franklin about it. It was wild. Because my high school, they had a Penn State / Tyler Elsdon dress down day on Thursday.
Jeez.
Because we have a dress code. Everybody came in, Penn State gear, wearing the Elsdon jersey. The teachers were sending me pictures of the stuff. So it was a big deal. Coach Franklin loved it. I showed him some of it. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, there's a bunch of support, and I'm so grateful for it.
You get starstruck yet playing?
No, not yet.
Nobody lined up across from you. You're like, oh my god.
No, not yet.
There he is.
The only
It's
time
one of those things. It's
no doubt.
crazy, right? You're like, wow, I thought he looks bigger on television.
The only time PJ Mustard my freshman year, I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's that fat. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Wow, tough talk.
Now you know why we have a players show.
There you go.
This is the players show.
This is what it's supposed
This
to be.
one's you don't get in the coaches show.
Real quick though, I wanna bring something back to mind because I know this. I was your roommate last year. You talk about studying the body and your fascination with that. I remember a time in the winter, I think, that you came home from a workout and said, Aeneas, I'm going to the lake and I'm going to sit in it. You're going to cut out a piece of ice. Talk to me about that. Is that something that you legitimately do to prepare? I think people need to know this about their starting middle linebacker.
Yeah, so there's certain things that I do, like I'll see, like I like challenging my body, kind of trying different things. I'm a big nature guy, so just even taking walks, hikes, stuff like that. But I saw a video of Khabib, a fighter, swimming in a frozen river.
Eastern
And
European.
it was just stuck in my head, and I could not go to bed that day without going and just doing it. So I ended up driving to the lake. The lake was frozen. So I was
What
just,
time of year is this?
Oh, it was winter.
Okay,
It was freezing. The lake was completely frozen. I didn't bring a shovel or an axe or anything, so I just kept walking. And there was a watershed, so the water's moving. It wasn't frozen. Looked around, no one was there. Got undressed and took a little plunge.
On this stuff, right?
You know,
he hasn't done
This is where
research.
cold tubs come from, bro. I'm telling you.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff like cardiovascular
Yeah,
and stuff
it
like that,
replenishes the white blood cells,
stress, like
absolutely.
everything, like
Right.
inflammation. So there's a lot of stuff from it. But for me, it was more so, you know, really just connecting with nature. And I've always been like that, and kind of just putting myself in a situation that most people wouldn't do. And when I told myself initially, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then someone told me, he's like, nah, you won't. I had to do it. I
Did
had
you know
to.
that there
So.
were benefits to it, or you just wanted to sit in the cold lake and
I figured.
do something that's gonna be good?
I figured there's definitely something about it, but we're born to be a part of nature. That's just like human instinct. Like there's primal things about it. So I just knew like there's some kind of attachment to it, and I just felt drawn to it. So I tried it, and honestly, I loved it. It was a great day.
So a lot of the East Jersey.
Solo cup in my right hand, pigskin in my left, and it just feels so right, man. College football's back. Yeah, we waking up.
Devin Steele, defensive tackle, 2007 to 2012. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware. In 2012, I got drafted 53rd overall to the Cincinnati Bengals, and a lot of people became aware of our story when my daughter was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma in 2014. I took some time off after that to really try to help my daughter champion her battle against cancer. And after she went into remission, I signed with the Houston Texans, where I played there for a year. I ended up having a Liz Frank injury, and I thought it would be best for me to retire after that because I had been through a lot of injuries, especially at Penn State, that I still wanted to be able to have the ability to go out in the backyard and play with my kids and really pour into their dreams. So I decided to retire. And right now, I do a lot of consulting. I graduated with my MBA from the University of Houston downtown. I just graduated with another master's from the University of Pennsylvania in May, so I do a lot of consulting and education. Because when I was growing up, one of the things that really helped me get to the level where I was at was my parents attending every single sporting event that I had together. And by going to Penn State, it was 3 hours away from home, so it enabled them to be able to attend all of my games as well, to give me that feel that I had when I was a child. My lowest moment in my Penn State career would have been my second year. We were having a scrimmage at Beaver Stadium, and during this scrimmage, one of my teammates picked up another teammate and threw him into a pile, and he broke my leg. And I say that was one of my lowest moments because the previous training camp I had tore my ACL and my MCL, so I spent the whole year rehabbing to get a chance to go out and run in front of 110,000 people and play in Beaver Stadium. And that dream was cut short again by breaking my leg inside Beaver Stadium during that scrimmage. So that was definitely the lowest period that I had in my Penn State career. Oh, man, so many great moments. For me, again, it would be individual. Is the second year when I was told after breaking my leg that I would be out for the whole year again. And I had the decision to make during the last game of the season against Michigan State, because the doctors were telling me that I could either gray shirt
or I can go ahead and play in the game and then I won't have the chance to gray shirt. And I wanted to play so bad that I was just like, I don't want the extra year. I want to be able to actually feel what it's like to play at Penn State. So I made the decision to go in for 10 plays and throw away my gray shirt year, and it was the best decision I ever made because it gave me that motivation to continue to go out there and push myself. For me, what showed me Joe Paterno's toughness is, he's very old school, so you always preach that old school toughness. But it's one thing for a coach to preach it, and it's one thing for them to show it. And I remember we were having practice inside of Haluba one day, and I believe one of our wide receivers, Devon Smith, was running a go route, and he ended up running into Joe, and he broke his hip. But Joe popped up off the ground like nothing had happened to him. He's like 70-something years old. He just got ran over by a D1 athlete. He pops up off the ground and continues to coach. And, our doctors at that time had to talk him into getting in a golf cart and going to go get a x-ray, but he didn't want to do it. And when we found out he broke his hip, I'm like, like I said, it's one thing for a coach to preach to you to be tough, but when you see a 70-year-old man get ran over and then pop back up and continue to try to coach and you find out he has a broken hip, he's like, all right, he's the real deal.
Solo cup in my right hand, pigskin in my left, and it just feels so right, man. College football's back. Yeah, we waking up.
People always ask me what Champs is like during the day because we do get crazy at night, but we're just a normal workplace.
What's good, bro?
What's good, bro? How your weekend going?
It's alright, bro. How's yours?
Man, just chilling. You catch the game the other day?
Nah, I did.
That boy Steph Curry, he's something serious. Yeah.
Right now, I need you to high five your best friend. High five your best friend right now. Yes. Welcome back from vacation, Sean.
Good.
Taking a shot up in the tailgate lot with a stadium view. What a great spot. Damn it, I've been waiting all week. Counting down the days till
My name is Jair Brown. I'm a fifth-year senior here at Penn State University. I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, and this is my story.
They play the drive coming up. He's picked off. Tagovailoa is picked off. It's Jair Brown.
I grew up in a very rough neighborhood. There was a lot of gun violence, a lot of distractions. Just wasn't the right place for a child to grow up. My mother was a hard worker my whole life. As I watched her work endless hours, just to provide for us. And she had 4 kids to look after and keep a roof over all our heads, so it was not easy. My family is my reason why I play football, why I work out so hard, and why I try to give everything I do my all.
Because we are Penn State, if you're certain programs, you have to pay the top dollars to steal away a player that will want to come to Penn State. I do not believe that Penn State has to be the highest bidder at every auction at all. But when someone's getting offered a lot versus nothing or very, very little, it makes it very hard for a person of character like a Jair Brown, who all he wants to do is do right by his family, and he's now offered the ability to take a load off of his mother's back, who is 20-some years into raising 4 kids. Where Penn State needs to be is just be competitive, have reasonable opportunities for athletes that makes it so they cannot walk away from the best facilities, the best coaches, a degree that means a lot, great education, a staff that cares about you, a team with a great culture.
Being able to go back home and, Mom, you don't have to buy these groceries today, I'll buy them, and being able to help out on bills and, stuff like that, and making sure, my younger siblings, my younger sisters are taken care of and they don't have to worry about too much.
There has to be some arrow in the quiver that is NIL, or Penn State will become a second-rate team, and that's what I fear.
NIL is the new recruiting, and this is the way you can make a difference.
It's just important because Penn State right now, the winds are blowing of this change right now, and Penn State hasn't been the first or fastest to react. And this is the way that Penn State needs to be competitive in a circumstance where the world is going in a very competitive direction against. And it supports this whole community, and it supports State College, Pennsylvania, and it supports Pennsylvania, it supports Penn State. So thank you, Penn Staters. Let's do it. We are.
Solo cup in my right hand, pigskin in my left, and it just feels so right, man. College football's back. Yeah, we waking up, taking a shot up in the tailgate.
NIL. It's an NIL cavalcade in college football now. We're back here on the obligatory PSU pregame show from Champs Downtown. And we're joined by our guest throughout the whole show, former Penn State linebacker Mike Mauti. And Mike, you guys just a couple weeks ago had a big announcement come out, Lions Legacy Club. It's an NIL collective led by Penn State Letterman. And we wanted to just take an opportunity to tell us and the viewers a little bit about what you guys are doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, I think everybody knows the recent year that has been the Wild West of money flying around college football. I don't have to get into it. You see the headlines. Really, my interest in this space is what's Penn State doing about it, and how are we helping the players navigate, and how are we retaining our players? And Chris Ganner, who I've been working with this on, and Kajana, we've teamed up to basically make a proactive approach to connect our Letterman first, then to get the engagement with our community and all of our alumni to support directly to the football players. I think the need was there, the opportunity for us to support the players in this way directly. It just wasn't being done. And so I think the need for everyone to get involved was absolutely critical for us to maintain our competitive advantage. And there is a element of charitable contribution with our 501c3 status, correct, which is a huge component. It's something that not everyone has in this game. A lot of people were trying to do that, or at least apply for it. That's really our differentiator, to really engage our players in the community and engage our Letterman network, which is truly, I think it's important for us to preserve our history. I'm a legacy guy. Chris Scanner's a legacy guy. This is really
brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood, and we're trying to maintain our ethos and culture into the modern era, which is, hey, we got to pay guys, we got to get guys deals. Who's got businesses out there? Connect them directly, and take care of these guys.
So we're talking about the NIL stuff, and we're trying to go back and help our players out in this and that. Where Joe Public is out there, and they're reading the headlines. Now I'm going to say this out loud: how many Appalachian State fans were out there this week because of what happened in Texas A&M? Because all you heard about was Texas A&M buying a recruiting class for $20 million, $30 million. I mean, I've never been such an App State fan, except for one other time.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Same.
But you know what I mean? Like Texas A&M has become like that, the picture of NIL and like what can go wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's like they're out there buying recruiting classes, and if it's not transferring to the field, what the hell's the point?
Well, that's a great point you bring up, and I think that's why this foundation and our first to market on this thing isn't necessarily the best thing, because there's a lot of people throwing money, and I consider that to be dumb money in some cases.
Yes, it is. The wild west, stupid dumb money.
It's short-sighted. But the need and the urgency is there, and we wanted to provide that opportunity for the people to get involved. And we wanted
the Penn State way, the right way.
Exactly. And who better to do that than the Letterman, who would understand that. And you look at around the country, and we're way behind. And so you have the network and an alumni base that is as powerful as any in terms of their competency and their capital and their talent. Mm-hmm. And so we need to connect everybody in this way and give them an opportunity to support. And the Lions Legacy Cup does that.
Chris and I have our player show we take during the week, and we talk a lot about it. But I mean, the Penn State way is not going out and you're not going to go out and you can go out and find that $10 million, $100 million donation person. But I have always said about Penn State, there's safety in numbers. You know, go after. We have 100,000 people in our stadium every Saturday. So we've got $100 from each of them. Just do the math. You know, you do that 7 times a year, and that's where our strength is as a university, as a club, as alumni, and as Letterman.
And I think for our fans, who are, I think, still kind of confused about this, like we all are a little bit.
We're confused.
Like you and your teammates, you exemplify everything that's great about Penn State and why we love the place. And so it's meaningful to see you come out and get behind this effort and really try to drive the bus. It's lionslegacyclub.com. You can find out more information. Check it out online. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Taking a shot up at the tailgate lot with a stadium view. What a great spot. Damn it, I've been waiting all week. Counting down the days till I'm back in my seat.
And we are back. We're here at Champs Downtown like we're doing every week, giving you a little extra something special from our players from the Blue and White Players Show, which you can watch live on the social feeds of onwardstate.com and statecollege.com every Monday night at 6 p.m. We're just looking ahead to this week's game at the Auburn Tigers. I got Aeneas Hawkins with me, as always.
1-0, baby. Another week with a dub.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And joining us today, we've got linebacker Tyler Elsdon.
Yes, sir.
Center Nick Dawkins.
What's going on?
Reminder to everybody this weekend in the NYC area at Sucker Punch in Kips Bay. There's going to be the Champs pop-up, so you get a little bit of that State College experience at your Penn State bar. If you're in the city, go check that out. Guys, so now you have had both the experience of playing a game on the road in a high-leverage situation. Then we come back last week and we play against Ohio. You get the convincing win. So, Nick, can you talk a little bit about what playing in the hostile environment at Purdue does for you in terms of preparing you now to go back on the road in week 3?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Purdue and then what they've accomplished in the past, they have a great atmosphere when you're going and playing ball. Like, not one that people talk about, especially in the Big Ten with the fans and everything, but it's loud when you get there. They're very early. The fans are loud and attentive. And that hostility, you feel it when you walk in. But that really creates a good atmosphere for us because it's our 120 versus their 90,000, and which we say all the time in our team room and with Coach Franklin echoes. So, like, it really builds that gladiator mentality going into war versus the opposition.
I like it. I'm going to throw this to both of you guys. I'm sure when you're going into what you can anticipate is going to be a very rough environment with the crowd reaction, you do the crowd noise in practice and all of that. How does that differ from the actual experience when you're there in the game?
I feel like when you're in the game, you're more dialed in.
Okay.
Because it's almost tunnel vision. You're on the field. You only hear the guy to the left, to the right, to the back of you. You're not hearing Joe Schmo in the crowd yelling your name out or anything like that. So when you're on the field, you're a lot more dialed in, but that preparation truly does help during practice because it's almost way more difficult in practice than it is when you're on the field because of how your ears are dialed in.
Yeah, I'd definitely say just the preparation in practice that we do, constant noise, crowd noise, music, whatever it is. By the time we get to the game, we pretty much know our game plan. We're comfortable and we're confident. So when we get on the field, I don't really think there's hesitation. And I mean, even playing at home, it's a loud environment, especially for the defense. Usually home games are louder. Offense, obviously, away games are louder. But both ways, we always get work constantly throughout the week and honestly all year. So pretty confident going into it.
You talk about the preparation, and I'm sure it plays a big factor. I know Coach Franklin turns those speakers all the way up, but you made your first start on the road, hostile environment. How much do you feel like that preparation mattered? Do you feel like there was still some type of moment where you were like, wow, we're really here now in the hostile environment?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I I told myself I was prepared, I was confident, but you don't really understand until you step on the field. I think that's what Nick was saying. It's a little different, obviously, when you get there. So I'm going into it, I was nervous, but honestly, the preparation, by the end of the first quarter, I got the nerves out. It just felt like playing football. Honestly, you don't really hear the crowd. You kind of zone in, your tunnel vision, when you're just like in a flow state, you just focus on your keys and kind of everything else blurs out. So I was personally kind of shocked how that all worked out, but yeah, I think the preparation was huge, getting me ready.
Another way to compare and contrast the first game and the second road game now you're going to be playing at Auburn is two totally different philosophies on offense. And I know this probably speaks especially to your position group, Tyler, because when you're going up against Purdue, they like to get the ball out quick, they throw the ball a lot. Auburn, I mean, they've had 2 games. It's tough to figure out a team's identity maybe from their first 2 games. But they brought back a lot of players. They're bringing back their 2 running backs. And that's a team that likes to be physical. So what are you anticipating in terms of what you're going to see from Auburn this week and what it means for you and your fellow linebackers?
Yeah, so obviously first week Purdue, they threw the ball. I like playing the run. I think most linebackers do. So didn't get a lot of opportunities. And then going into Ohio, they had a good running scheme. A lot of option, a lot of different looks, pistol looks and stuff like that. So maybe they threw the ball. It was about 50-50 probably run and throwing. But going in this week, probably expecting heavy on the run. They have great backs, got great guys up front, big guys. So I think we're excited. It's definitely a different look for us. Maybe something we didn't see this year. But we have so many guys that have a lot of experience on our defense playing and stuff like that. And our practices during camp and then all season so far have been so physical. I think we're all prepared. We're just excited, really, just get downhill and play some ball.
That get you juiced up as a linebacker when you're going to see a lot of run plays coming at you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been eager for it all year so far, so I can't wait.
Listening to all heavy metal all week long. How this guy is.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get fired up. So.
Well, guys, we appreciate you joining us. We are all rooting you on as you take the road trip down to Auburn. It's going to be a tough environment with an SEC fan base that is really fired up. You guys got to see them last year. Do you feel that gives you a little bit of an advantage because you're familiar with the personnel?
I think it defeats some stigmas that people might have. Some guys look a lot different on film than when you see them on the field, their size and such. But come in, got the win last year. Same preparation, same mentality going into it. So
awesome.
Absolutely, same mentality.
We'll keep it rolling. We're rooting for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi everybody, Mike the Mailman with another edition of Trends to Treasure. This is for week 3, the weekend of September 24th and 25th. Our first trend is going to be a college football trend. We have BYU hosting Wyoming. BYU is 6-2 in the last 8 games against the Cowboys, so take BYU minus the points. I'm going to stick with college for the second trend. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Butch T. Cougar of Washington State is hosting the Oregon Ducks. Washington State, believe it or not, is 10-2 in the last 12 games against the Ducks. So the play here is the Washington State Cougars. For our third trend, we're going to jump over to the NFL. We have the LA Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams are 9-1 in the last 10 games against the Cardinals, so the play here is the LA Rams. Of course, I'm here with another bonus pick for you. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the LA Chargers. The Jaguars are 0-9 in the last 9 games versus the Chargers, so the play is the LA Chargers. That's it for week 3. I'm Mike the Mailman. We'll see you next week for another edition of Trends to Treasure. And remember, bet with your head and not with your heart. Go get 'em.
Good stuff, Mike.
Thanks.
You know what, man? I hope people are making some money.
I hope so too.
That's all I'm going to say. It's the obligatory PSU pregame show from Champs downtown, down in the basement today in the game room, enjoying our new trail, Whiteout beer and Crisp Lager, their new lager for the fall. Can't recommend New Trail enough. Get them wherever you get your craft beverages.
Damn good, man. I got to give it to it.
And it is now time for our patented random number generator segment where we randomly generate numbers in predicting the score of the game. This is a big one. Boys, this one's been circled on the calendar for a long time because very, very rarely do you see an SEC team play a home-and-home with a Big Ten school or any school north of Mason-Dixon line, the way college football is changing. God knows when we're ever going to see it again. It's a big one. This is a big game happening this weekend. And Mike, I actually wanted to start off by asking you, what is it like for the team when you leave the friendly confines of Beaver Stadium and go into a really hostile environment? Like there are some road games, like we played Purdue a couple weeks ago. You almost have to adjust to the big drop-off from what you expect at the Beav. But then there are some places that are super hostile. Like I think about going to Kinnick at night, like you guys did in 2012. What does that do for the team when you know you're going to go to a super hostile location?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most underappreciated parts of the week 1 win at Purdue early, because you go on the road. It's your first time on the road. A lot of guys are just understanding the process, ignoring the noise in an environment. However hostile, that really doesn't matter. You went out there, you got the win, so you understand what it takes in terms of the operation to get down there, to get your focus right. We did it. We had that game down in Alabama. We had done that before back in, I think that was 2010, a 2-game series. But I think week 1 prepares these guys for this Auburn week. So I'm encouraged, and I think that they're gonna execute down there.
Okay, so let's get the negativity out of the way right now.
I don't know where you're going to get that from.
Yeah, I'm going to let Horn, and then I'm going to go to me because I have a feeling we might be. I'm nervous now.
I believe me and Mike are the only people who are 2-0 against the spread right now.
I'm going to be very positive,
All right.
and I just want to, no one cares about my number. Just it's awesome. I'm not going to pick against Penn State when Mike Mauti's on the show. How can you do that? Right?
Whether I'm here or not.
I mean, when if you think of the Penn State Mount Rushmore of moments, and this is going to sound like I'm sucking up to Mike. I'm not, because we've had every Letterman on the show. But I was a junior in 2012. There's 4 moments. Evan Pugh decided to come back from Europe and become Penn State's first president, coming in on a horse and buggy. There's George Atherton not getting shot in the Civil War and then becoming the best president in Penn State history. There's Joe Paterno defying his father and becoming a football coach instead of a lawyer. And then there's Mike and that team. Those are the 4 moments that when there's no other leadership at Penn State in 2012, those guys. So,
amen.
It's an honor. We've had every Letterman worth anything on this show.
What do they all have in common?
Tell me.
The freaking mailman was there for all of us.
Yes, sir.
There for all of us. He had the horse and buggy.
I'm not picking against Penn State with that context. So, but I think Penn State wins. Auburn looked like crap against San Jose State last week.
They sure did.
San Jose State played better that game. Yeah. And I may have bet on them too. But I don't think Auburn's very good. I don't think their quarterback's very good. I think Penn State, in basically every position, is better. And you don't say that too often against an SEC team. Penn State's the first Big Ten team to play at Auburn ever in the history of that stadium.
Really? I didn't know that. To go out of there. Am I up?
No.
Or are you done?
Penn State 34, Auburn 17. Cover.
I don't know where the hell this order. I mean, I get the order of the SEC. I get it. They've won a lot of national titles recently and this and that. But they're just going to lump Auburn in there like it's like LSU with a night game and in honor of Mike's Louisiana roots over here. I mean, they're going to lump Auburn. And I'm sure it's not an easy place to play, but it's not Death Valley at 7 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't understand why everybody's like throwing this, it's an SEC team and this and that. I get it.
The Eagles flying in over the stadium and land right at the 50-yard line.
That's terrible. And I'm Charles Barkley. That's terrible. That's terrible, But they're in disarray. They have been for a few years now.
Yeah, their offseason has been a dumpster
The way
fire.
that our fans and people are thinking about this game, that we're going down and playing a Saban-coached program, and it's not happening. I mean, I have great confidence our guys going down to this week. We're 4.5-point favorites. I got us by a touchdown or 2. I really do.
Randomly generate some numbers. Give me a score.
28-10, to be honest with you. I really, 28-10 Penn State for sure.
Like the mailman, I know what you're going to say.
I like him. Goon said, they improved week 1 and week 2, and you saw the improvement. I mean, you really did. And I think they're much improved too. And I think it's going to be an easy game too. I have them winning by 11. They're going to be nice to them. Winning by 11. 11's a nice number.
All right. Okay. So one thing I really try to not do on this show is make a season record prediction and then change what I predict from week to week.
Here we go. Here we go.
The whole dumpster fire thing. I worry about Auburn and how stout and tough they are on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I worry about their running back, Tank Bigsby. I also worry about making any pick other than Penn State in the face of overwhelming peer pressure on this Penn State show. Yeah. So I'm going to take the Nittany Lions 21-20. Mauti, I'm going to give you the final word. What do you got?
Close game. That's a tight game. Auburn came up here last year.
It's randomly generated numbers. That's the beauty of it.
I love it.
They did come up.
Auburn came up here last year, and they played hard. They came out here
and they played their best game of the season.
They ran and they hit.
Harsin sold his mistress last year. Now she's gone, so it's a different game.
Well, that being said, I still was impressed with the way they came up here and fought. But I do think, like Mike said, the improvement of the team really you see between week 1 and 2 is the biggest jump. And you saw them go on the road week 1, and we came back home, regrouped, and executed, made plays. I think it's going to be at least a 2-score game. I think these guys are going to go down there and continue to execute and make plays.
We're talking about the week 1, week 2.
Right.
Improvement, this and that. We're going down the exact same path we went last year. James knows how this is going to happen right now. This is the Iowa game coming up right now, in my opinion. We've seen this before.
Show's over.
Let's
Cheers.
get better.
Cheers.
Drink New Trail.
Cheers.
Let's get better, boys.
We are.